welcome to my channel. In the previous episode, I mentioned a few changes that I made in my growing environment. And today I'll tell you more about one of them, moving some of my African violet plants from wick watering to top watering. Those of you following me for a while know that I wick water most of my plants. I will provide a link to my 2020 wick watering demo here in the prompt and also in the description box under this video if you'd like to check it out later. That was made over 3 years ago and I still use the same method. I have since tried different potting mix ratios, but that's a topic of its own merit. I might make a separate video discussing the potting mixes that I used most recently. But today let's talk about why I decided to try top watering. The main advantage of wick watering method is of course time management. Since I started growing my African violet collection in 2019, it has grown in size, and had it not been for wick watering, I would have not been able to manage watering the volume of plants I currently have. Based on the capillary action drawing water through the wick from the water reservoir into the potting mix, wick watering allows keeping potting mix constantly moist for as long as there is water in the water reservoir or the container. And my plants, each of them has its own container because I don't use commune watering for my plants. So each of them has their own either plastic cup or a glass jar, depending on what I have available. So all I have to do for watering is check them periodically for water refill, usually every 2 to 4 weeks or longer, depending on the volume of water in the wicking container. So this plant, for example, drinks up all of this water probably within 1 or 2 weeks, depending on the temperature. So if it's summertime, probably I have to refill it every week. And in the winter, maybe it will last a little longer. Top or surface watering can require daily watering, depending on conditions in the growing environment. And that's what I was trying to avoid, having to water all of my plants daily or every few days, because that would be very time consuming. Over the years, the plants mostly responded well to wick watering, although I did encounter some challenges in the warmest and in the coolest seasons especially. In my home, equipped with a central AC system to maintain the comfortable growing temperature in different rooms still can vary depending on the sun exposure and temperature outside. This room, for example, faces south, and the temperature inside can rise a few degrees higher in the summer and drop a few degrees lower in the winter than what I had set up on the thermostat. Now, in the cooler season, for example, this room can be 64 to 66 degrees Fahrenheit at night, while my thermostat is set to 69 degrees Fahrenheit. When plants grow on a wick, sometimes their roots outgrow the pot and start growing into the water inside of the wicking container. For example, here, when we look inside, we will see that roots are growing outside into the water. When the temperatures rise or drop, I notice that the roots can start rotting inside of the water. And this plant in particular, I think the roots still look okay. When did I repot it? Yeah, it was 2.5 months ago. And this one is already not looking as good as this one. This is Yan Sahara, standard variety. And this one is L.E. Седой Граф by Елена Libetskaya. And this has already roots that may start deteriorating soon. And let's see if I can find something that doesn't look as good. For example, here. This is Siberian moon. While the roots, some of the roots look healthy, the others have started deteriorating. And not to mention the algae that grows here in the wick watering method, that does not contribute to the root health either. Problems with roots slow down nutrient intake by the plants, and plants start developing signs of nutrient deficiency, including loss of lower leaves, lack of blooms, and slow overall growth. And sometimes the center of the crown also kind of slows down its growth. So both of these plants, I brought here another plant, Anne by Betty Bryant. So both Anne and Siberian moon were repotted 5 months ago in July of this year. And despite that, they started losing the lower leaves. Anne is supposed to be a large variety, but it's not growing large. Rather, it's staying on a compact side. And the same symptoms we have here on Siberian moon, the loss of outer foliage and the slowed down growth. Because of the root problems with the wick watered plants, I had to repot them more frequently. So these two were repotted 5 months ago, and it's clear that they need another repotting. They need the fresh potting mix to continue their growth. I also tend to forget to flush regularly to remove the fertilizer buildup from potting mix because my wick watered plants grow on continuous fertilizer feed. As a result, if I don't repot a plant into fresh potting mix every 6 months and I forget to flush, so this would be the picture I observe. Finally, I've always wanted to try growing large symmetrical plants like the ones you usually see in African violet shows. Truth be told, I haven't been 100% successful growing them with wick watering, especially the standard and large varieties. They always seem to grow more compact. I also had to be mindful of the pot size because if the pot was too big, the plant could develop root rot because wick watering kept potting mix moist at all times. Smaller pot size in turn resulted in more compact growing plants. So this time I have decided to try top watering with a few standard and large varieties that I have in my collection. Because top watering allows to control moisture level in potting mix, I was able to use larger size pots. Most of the plants you see on this shelf grow in 4-inch pots, while for wick watering I use mostly 3 and 3.5-inch pots with standard varieties. Another benefit of top watering is that it allows more air pockets in the potting mix, and they don't get clogged up with water like those growing on a wick. Air pockets keep potting mix well aerated, promoting healthy root growth. Roots are always contained inside of the potting mix. And here, this is just the ceramic holder, but inside there is a plastic pot in which the plant grows. We can better see the plastic pot inside of the ceramic here on this plant. This is L.E. Rima by Елена Libetska. I'm hoping that those growing inside of the potting mix, the roots of the plant, they will remain healthy longer than those in wick watered plants that outgrow the pot and grow surrounded by water. Healthy roots result in healthy leaves, ensuring proper nutrient intake by the plant. Since repotted to top watering, I have observed these plants grow in healthy leaves, both in the center and also the lower, older leaves remained healthy longer. stay healthy longer and more of them can grow in the larger pot, they should help the plant process fertilizer better, improving nutrient intake and reducing the risk of mineral salt buildup that is known to be caused by overfertilization. This should help maintain proper pH level in the potting mix longer than with wick watering. In the long run, I hope that with top watering I can repot them less frequently. The goal is to repot them once a year versus every 6 months for the wick watered plants. While I have enjoyed the top watering method results so far, I can see a couple of challenges here. With large collections, top watering can be time consuming. I have to monitor the potting mix and water them every time when I see that the potting mix surface is dry. Usually it gets lighter in color. Then I need to make sure not to overwater because the potting mix with top watered plants needs to be evenly moist but not soggy. And so at this point, I water them every 2 to 3 days. I foresee a challenge when I have to travel. For example, if I'm not home in 2 or 3 days, this potting mix can get really dry and then I will be at risk of losing the plants. So I still haven't figured out how I'm going to manage that. If you have any helpful tips for this, do please comment in the comment section. I really appreciate your insight. For fertilizing, there are different fertilizing methods and different fertilizers for top watering. Currently, I'm using Jack's Classic with every watering, the 20-20-20 NPK ratio, and I use 1/8 teaspoon per gallon of water. Another challenge that I foresee, and I already kind of see it coming, is that top watering plants normally grow larger and take up more space. Usually, overcrowding is not recommended for African violets, and here, just a month or two after repotting, we are already observing some overcrowding situation. So the foliage has grown, it started overlapping the foliage of other neighboring plants. And so this leaf, for example, of Hunter's Cashmere will not be receiving sufficient light because it's covered by the leaf from Lion's Magic Charms. By the way, it started growing better. If you saw it in the previous episode, here we can see that the younger leaves don't have that yellowing halo that the older ones had. So I will keep observing this one. So yeah, talking about space, this means that I will have to move some of these plants very soon to another stand to ensure that the remaining plants receive sufficient light. And I need to be rearranging the remaining ones from 3 rows as they're currently arranged into 2 rows, so they don't touch each other and have enough space to grow. So growing space is definitely going to be an issue. I hope you found this video helpful. As promised, the new light setup video is in the works. Stay tuned